I want to call this meeting of Board of Directors of Canadian Pines Wilderness Trails to order at 7 p.m. on August 20th, 2021. Jeff Schweitzer is going to lead us in the invocation.
Thank you. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day and this blessed place we call Sandy Pines. We thank you for our members, our board, our staff, our volunteers. It is your work through them that makes Sandy Pines an awesome place. Please continue to watch over all of us as we enjoy your blessings. Continue to surround us with your Holy Spirit to do your work in your name. Surround those who may need your guidance here at Sandy Pines, throughout our nation, our country, and across the world. You are an awesome God and can do many wonderful things. Surround the leaders of our wonderful park with your Holy Spirit. Continue to provide wisdom and strength as we continue to make decisions for the betterment of our park. All things are done through you, through your will. Thank you for all the blessings you provide us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Will you please stand for the pledge? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kimberly, could you do the roll call, please?
Ellen Carter. Here. Brian Allen.
Here.
Jenny Hager.
Here.
Jim Hawk.
Here.
Kelly Johnson.
Here.
Dennis King.
Here.
Larry Munger.
Here.
Paul Hubble.
Here.
And Stephanie Stepaniak.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to approve any new park members for July. Jeff, could you give us the details on those?
Yes, I can. Through the month of July, we had 45 new members, 23 new sales, 11 through the sales department, 12 for sale by owners. The breakdown of the 45 members are 2 members in their 20s, 8 members in their 30s, 16 members in their 40s, 14 members in their 50s, and 5 members in their 60s.
Could I have a motion to approve the new members?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Our next order of business is the approval of the minutes from last month, from July of 2021. The board members were provided the draft via email. Is there any corrections? I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next order of business actually makes me very happy because we are approving committee members. I've been sitting here asking people to join and help, and we've had a really good response. The first committee that we're going to approve is the library committee, and this is a new committee to help provide some oversight and assistance to the library volunteers. And the members that have signed up and been approved by the committee are Brandis Barber, she's the chair, Val Troshwitz, she's the vice chair, Lisa Britton is the secretary, then we have Lynn Bailey, Susan Bazinski, Karen King, and Dan Smith. Could someone please give me a motion to approve those members?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Support. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next committee that we're going to talk about is the Rules Committee, and Kelly is the liaison. Kelly, could you introduce and make a motion for your new member?
I can, thank you, Ellen. I really don't know if this gentleman needs an introduction, but Raj Ringus was nominated by the Rules Committee to join the committee, and I'd like to make a motion to accept Raj as part of that committee.
Support.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Safety and Security Committee has 3 new members to be approved. Dennis is the liaison. Could you introduce those members and introduce the motion?
The 3 new members is Bob Deckinga, Tom Runyon, and Brenda Hibbs. I'd like to make a motion that we approve those new members.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The Finance Committee has a new volunteer. Jenny, could you introduce your new committee member and make the motion, please?
Yes, we had a finance committee meeting last week and we met Rick Visser. And I would like to make a motion for him to join the finance committee.
Support.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The Lake Study Committee also has a volunteer. Stephanie is the liaison. Stephanie, could you introduce your new member?
Our new member is Joshua, and I would like to make a motion to have her join our committee. We met her last week. She'll be a good addition.
Support.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I really do want to thank these people. We really appreciate them stepping up and helping out, and you're all invited to join us. If you have an interest, there's a committee website, or it's a page on the website. If you do a search for committees, you can fill out the application, you can give it to Rob, indicate what you're interested in, and we'll get you started. So our next order of business is report from the finance area. Jenny, do you have any comments?
Sure. The finance committee met last week, Wednesday, and we reviewed the check distributions for both Sandy Pines and the golf course. We also reviewed the financial statements for both of the entities. We had some good discussion. We also then went on, and they were all unanimously approved. We did have a quorum. We also discussed the operating budget and the capital budget in depth. We did a lot, most of our meeting, our 4-hour meeting was spent on that, which we had been reviewing for several months this whole season. So we came up with some recommendations as a committee and voted on that and sent that to the board for their discussion and for them to make decisions. So we had a great meeting, and now we're going to have a new member. So that'll be great. And I even hear we might get another new member. So that's exciting.
Kimberly, could you go through the Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails financial statements, please?
As of July 2021, operational cash is 36% below prior year. However, our FEMA reimbursement that is currently held in our other operations that will fully recoup that reduction when it's received. Net income is less than 1% compared to the prior year. And this is with 2 months of the majority and primarily all of the parks operational expenses of those months. So in the final 2 months of the season, we're going to see the majority of the parks operational expenses rather than the revenue coming in those months. So we're sitting pretty good from that standpoint. Sales and hospitality has met its gross revenue budget for the year as of the end of July. So we anticipate that sitting well by the end of the fiscal year in September. Member service income, maintenance income, and public safety income have met 80 to 90% of their gross revenue for the year, and this is with 2 months remaining in the season. Recreational gross income has met half of its gross revenue for the season, and this is with 2 full months of the season remaining. So recreation has most of their season, those 4 primary months of the season, so they're already halfway there. As of the end of July. Retail income has met 60% of their gross revenue. And administration is in line with the annual budget already for the year as of 7/31/2021. The effect of this relates a little bit to the increased expense for newsletter expense, which I've highlighted on in prior months, and this was due to the printing in the off-season and a slight increase in our contracted rate with the vendor. So we're kind of seeing that even out as the months continue on. Last, I just will highlight in maintenance service net income is less than prior year, but it does still have about 30% of its net loss remaining to meet its annual budget for the year. Public safety net income is 30% favorable to the budget. And Park and Garden is currently running 30% under their budget, but $8,000 over prior year. So each of these specific departments are pretty much where we would expect in the season as of the 10th month of the fiscal year. And we're looking forward to seeing where the last 2 months bring us to close out the season.
Do any of the board members have questions on Sandy Pines Wilderness Trail financial statements? I'll entertain a motion to approve the July 2021 Sandy Pines Wilderness Trail financial statements.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Kimberly, could you give us the financial reports for Lake Monterey Golf Course, please?
Operational cash, as of the end of July 31 is at $380,000 for the year, and this is compared to $358,000 last year. So we're sitting very well within our operational cash reserve there. Our net income is at $99,000 compared to $85,000 prior year, and it is 66% over our annual budget for the year. We do have 2 more months of expenses and revenue to bring in there, so we anticipate being close to our annual budget by the end of the year. So specifically, we have noticed an increase in the member green fees, which has helped out in the season, and it's been great to have the clubhouse open to bring in those taxable food and beer and wine and merchandise sales income too. The specific repairs to the golf course have increased our expense during the season, but again, overall, we are sitting about $10,000 over prior year and significantly over annual budget. What our annual budget is, we've already met that budget and gone over, so we're sitting pretty well with 2 months remaining for the season.
Do any of the board members have questions for Kimberly? I'll entertain a motion to approve the Lake Monterey Golf Course financial statements for July 2021.
Support.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item in this section of the agenda is discussion of the budgets. Kimberly, could you please go through the budgets for us?
But easier to talk this way. All right, so the preliminary budget or prepared final draft for the budget for the 2021-2022 season. I will just highlight a couple areas that we are looking at. I do want to just kind of summarize the stance of Sandy Pines and what type of an organization that we are. I know this comes up for discussion multiple times, within members and within committee meetings, and Sandy Pines is a not-for-profit organization, so we are not a non-profit 501c3. We do not take in charitable contributions, but the sole intent of Sandy Pines is to operate as a not-for-profit to bring in the operational income, whether through dues or operational activities within the park. And through this is to maintain and service the park. So our current 2020-2021 budget is actually adding net revenue expense of $222,000. When you look at the budget, that's been a $222,000 loss when you look at the budget online. But when you take in the effect of cash flow adjustments, it does bring our cash reserve up about $375,000 in order to recoup our cash reserve through the year. And this is where we net very close to zero from year to year. And this is something we look at very closely, although with our financial accountant to do our annual review. The budget for 2021 and 2022 has netted that gap a little bit from 222,000 net loss to 142,000 net loss. And what the cash flow adjustments factored into that has increased the cash budget for 182,000. And what that means is that amount just goes back into the park for cash reserves and just for that rainy day fund for, like we said, with the coronavirus and everything that hit us, we were sitting in a good spot, and that's what our accountants also look at, just to make sure we have enough cash flow in our budget to aid us in an emergency. So, again, we are budgeting close to that net loss or that zero balance for the year. I do want to highlight the increase to annual dues, because I know we have received multiple questions from the office about this, but we can't really state this until it's not approved. But the membership bylaws actually state that we use the CPI index for the 12-month increase as of March 2021. An item that I highlighted both in the finance committee meeting as well as the board planning meeting is that as of March 2021, the increase over the 12 months is at 3%. As of right now, in August 2021, we are looking at a 12-month gap of CPI increase within the Midwest region of 6.1%. So we are going to notice those operational expenses hitting within the organization. However, we are limited at that 3% increase. So that is what we are doing going into the next season. An interesting factor in that too was we highlighted last year, going into March last year was a similar situation where we saw around the 2 to 3%. Going into March, when COVID hit in March 2020, it dropped to 1%. So the membership only had a 1% increase last year, even though because of that significant reduction, and then it went up, but we're set with that for the budget going forward for the next year. Therefore, with all that being said, the 3% increase, which is applied to the annual dues and the annual capital of $200, is a $42 increase per membership. And then I will just highlight real briefly a couple items for departments and where we have adjusted the budget for different changes within the season. Within administration specifically, in the preliminary budget in March of 2021, we had an increase to the facility rental for this North Shore, for the North Shore building. Per the survey and interest within the membership, we ended up reducing that budget for revenue because the interest was not there to rent out the facility. So a key factor that we're looking for, within administration is still looking at ways to use, to look for ways to increase that budget, within the revenue for this building. But we did increase that budget from, from 7,200 in the current budget up to 25,000. So we still think there's an opportunity out there. We just have to find, continue to brainstorm. We have some ideas, so we'll continue to brainstorm that going forward. Within safety and security, we have adjusted the budget for the man card income, as we have been stating in the prior meeting with the transition from max rate cards to process cards. So you will see that adjustment specifically within the revenue section and the expense section of the budget. Sales and hospitality, you will see an adjustment for the transfer fee income to adjust for an increase for the for sale by owner fee, and also an increase to the camping revenue to bring Sandy Pines pricing much closer to market. So as we looked at where our camping prices are compared to the area market around us, we noticed we were significantly lower and we need to extend that outward. So we look to pull that in from there as well. And then that's within resource services. The Lake Development Committee had come to us with different recommendations for the preservation of the lake. And through the changes within that budget for 2021 and 2022, there has been an increase in the boat sticker fee and an applied charge to the boat stake fee to assist in covering some of those expenses and support the operational expenditures and possible capital expenditures that will come with those recommendations. And then I think that we're going to the piece.
Yeah, you do it. Okay, you can go. I get to go through the fun stuff, the fees. Okay, so, as Kimberly stated, just a background, when we put the budget together, we received a lot of feedback from our membership with these fees. Why do we have so many of them? You know, what do we use them for? Again, if you do the math, when you look at the financials, the membership dues cover about 40% of our operating budget to run the park. So the fees that we have out here have to offset and cover the remaining 60% that still we have to pay for to run the park. So that being said, the first thing that we pulled the team together to look at was, let's look at the external fees first. So back to Kimberly's point, we did a market analysis on camping, and the last time we did any adjustments for camping fees were in 2016. So we're still running at 2016 fees for campers. So we went through all of our camping, whether it was over the weekend, during the week, off season, peak season. We looked at rental trailers. We also looked at seasonal sites. So we went in and we adjusted those camping fees to be closer to market, which will bring in some additional revenue. Again, looking at the seasonal sites, the seasonal trailers, on average, we raised those about 8 to 9%. So that's bringing in revenue from the outside. Some of the internal fees that we had talked about was sitting down with John Hopkins in the park inspector area. Some of the permits will go up, and sitting down with Liz and Kent in sales. We continue to see the sales team did a great job moving for sale by owners into our sales team. I would say last year and the year before that, for sale by owner transactions were about 70% to 30%. This year is tracking about 60 to 40%. but there's still a lot more work, even though the members are going out and selling those on their own. When it comes into the office, there's still a lot of issues with those transactions that we have to sort through. So we're increasing the transaction fee for the seller from $1,000 to $2,000. The buyer will continue to sit at $525. So we went up $1,000 for sale by owner. I think the one that everybody is waiting for and looking to hear, we did look at boat stakes and water stickers. So we increased the, if you have a boat sticker, you have a fee for your first boat, and then there's a fee for a second boat. The fee for the first boat is going from $80 to $100, and then the second boat is going from $120 to $140. The land stickers are very similar. You have one boat that's going to go from $50 to $75. Your second boat is going to go from $90 to $110, and kayakers are going to go from $15 to $25. Excuse me. And then the last item of business are the boat stakes. A lot of discussion on, how do we generate some revenue for the list of recommendations at the Lake Study Committee. The boat stake fees for the 30 to 40 foot boat stake, the recommendation is $100 fee on an annual basis. And then the 10 foot boat stakes, the recommendation is $50 on an annual basis. And that's the highlight of the fees.
I would like to move that the board of directors discuss this proposed budget for operating further with due diligence together as a team and work to approve that next month. I feel like there's more work to be done as a team. I feel like there's more details we need to gather. And I just feel like we need a little bit more clarity. We need a little bit more information regarding what's capital, what's operating. Fees that would come in from boat stakes would be an operational income, whereas a lot of these things that need to be done for the lake, according to the Lake Study Committee, are capital. So we have to kind of differentiate between that, get some details and get some more clarity on exactly why we're doing this. And we just need some more work on this. So I would like to make a motion to move that to next month.
Support. Yeah.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So what that means, we'll be continuing to work on it. We welcome input. September's meeting, we're still have the opportunity to approve this prior to the end of the fiscal year. So we're within the bylaw. But we are going to go ahead. Kimberly, can you talk about the state? Well, we can go ahead and do the capital budget.
You want capital budget?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna pull up the capital budget for Sandy Pines Wilderness Trail. There are a couple items specifically on that budget that we are in review of. One second. Okay, so we do have in the capital budget for 2022 going into the next season, the regular capital items of nature that we have within normal years. So the roof replacements, specifically, we have one targeted for the maintenance building, cabin roof, and then also the reshingling of the CC, which we usually target for every other year. There's some mechanical capital expenditures as well, and some tile capital expenditures within the different CCs where necessary. Our structural, there is a change within the structural capital budget. With the lake study improvements, we do have 250,000 highlighted in the 2022 season for those lake study improvements. Collaboratively, and has been presented to us from the Lake City Committee, and an additional increase of 420,000 for the cart bridge to bring us up to closer to what we need to meet the estimate that we have received from the contractors that have brought forward bids. Outside of that, we do also have different member amenities, different recreational courts as directed within maintenance that will be addressed. We have not highlighted where those areas specifically are going to be yet. Oh, I do not have an answer to that, but we do have some funding available for those. And then we also do have an additional amount in there to complete the software upgrade that is going on, and I will say is near and dear to my heart in the administration office. But it'll be the final stage of that upgrade, and it will make just the financial reporting and the billing and statements much more user friendly for members and administration altogether. And then within the security area, we do have recurring expenses for the replacement, part of the 5-year replacement plan for their vehicles. I do know they have two to three fairly new vehicles in the fleet that have been replaced recently, but they do have quite a few that we see operational expenses going through as we're continually repairing those. Then within recreation, there are minimal expenses there for capital and same with sales. So those are the highlights, and I do want to say that we did review that in detail with the board of directors on Monday, and had the visual in front of us so they could look at the plans for the year coming forward. So unless anyone from the board wants to add anything else from what we reviewed.
Yeah, the simple way to put this is, to make it understandable, is if anybody has shopped for lumber, a house, groceries, you've noticed that in the last few years, the prices are going way up. We are affected the same way, and a lot of the projects that we're working on, we're anticipating lower costs on, and now we have to adjust. So, like I say, if you haven't gone shopping for anything, you probably haven't heard of inflation, but if you have, you've seen it.
Are there any additional comments or questions from the board of directors? I'll entertain a motion to approve the capital budget as presented for 2021-2022.
So moved. Support.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Motion carries one. Kimberly, are you prepared for the Lake Monterey Golf Course capital budget?
Gary doesn't like when I say that, but this is an easy one, and there's not too much to report here. So, but he does a phenomenal job there, and there's just a couple minimal things to mention there. Within the 2021-22 budget for Lake Monterey Golf Course, We did adjust the membership income coming in, just because I mentioned every month going forward, we noticed an increase there as well as the member grant fees. So we did increase the anticipated revenue coming in those areas to support the budget. And other than that, the expenditures for the 2021-22 budget are just reflective of the anticipated and expected cost of living increases.
Okay.
That's it.
And that's the operational budget?
Yeah, and I can get, do you want me to wait on one?
Yeah. Do any of the board of directors have questions on the Lake Monterey operational budget for 2021-2022? I'll entertain a motion to accept the budget as presented.
Motion to approve.
Or,
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, Kimberly, if you could give us the capital budget for Lake Monterey?
Yeah, reviewing the capital budget for Lake Monterey Golf Course, the only two items that have been itemized out there for the next season is the replacement of one of their Kubota tractors. So they don't really have anything else. They are looking at recouping the capital reserve for that area because they did just recently replace the wells over the last couple of years and just recouping that fund balance. So that's the only change for next season there.
Do the board of directors have any questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion to approve the capital budget for the Lake Monterey Golf Course for 2022.
so moved.
Support.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Jeff has a couple of reminders for us before we proceed on in the agenda.
Ellen, we have Kimberly go through safe harbor.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, you may take notice that on the agenda, there is a line item under finance that states safe harbor. And this is a proposed increase to make a change within our capital expenditures from 1,000 to 2,500. This is actually a recommendation that has been proposed to us by our accounting firm for the past few years. This is an IRS safe harbor limitation in what we can choose to capitalize and what we expense. And with the current operations within the park, the way our safe harbor is at right now at 1,000, any purchase that is made over 1,000 has to be capitalized and then depreciated over an estimated useful life. And that amount is way too low considering the current phase of things. So they had proposed an increase, and with discussion of the board, we are in line with the recommendation to increase it to 2,500. So what that means is any asset purchase or tangible item that we purchase within the park that is over 2,500 will be capitalized, and anything under that will be expensed.
Now we have the reminders from Jeff.
Thanks, Ellen. Okay, election reminder. Remember, election tomorrow, 10 to 2, lower level here at the North Shore Building. We'll have some fold-up signs out along the main drag out here, and then in the parking lot showing coming into the North Shore at the lower level. When you walk in, there'll be signs on the 4 activity rooms off to your right. Those activity rooms will be based on phases, so make sure you go into the right activity room for your phase, and volunteers will direct you accordingly. Also tomorrow, it's going to be an active day, so tomorrow 10 to 11, we have the annual meeting at the chapel grounds. Planning on good weather there, might be a little hot and steamy, so, but we'll have the annual meeting there. We'll have most of the department heads there with us as well, and hopefully introduce you to some new faces from the departments. And then last item I had that's not on the agenda is Ian, who's a new face for us in communications, sitting back there. Ian has been working with many of the departments on end-of-year surveys. So we're gonna ask for input, how we've done in various areas, various departments. We wanna hear how we've done, so we can get some improvement ideas in the off season. I'm a big proponent of, don't settle for the job that you're doing now, continue to improve. So we appreciate constructive input, and you can always throw in some positive comments in there as well if you like. And that's all I have on.
Okay, the next item on our agenda under old business is a resolution for considering the alcohol usage in this building. As Kimberly talked about, we have an opportunity with this building to use it as a rental property or, for events. And we have, looked at some other venues and what they do and done some research, and we have floated this out here for a little while, and we're now putting it before the board to vote. I'm going to read the current rule. It's lengthy. Then I will read the changed rule. So please be patient with me. I will speak directly into the microphone. Okay. Whereas the bylaws of Sandy Hines Wilderness Trails Incorporated, Article 8, Section 6E, gives the Board of Directors the power to adopt, amend, rescind, and repeal rules and regulations relating to the use of Sandy Hines property and the conduct of its members and their guests. Whereas Rule Section 6, Conduct Rules, Subsection A, Alcohol/drugs. 1. Alcohol. A. Alcoholic beverages must be confined to the site only. B. It is the member's responsibility to take action to prevent a minor from having access to alcohol on a member's site or in a member's camping unit. C. Operation of any type or mode of transportation under the influence or with an open container of beverage containing alcohol is prohibited. D. Beverages containing alcohol are prohibited on watercraft on Lake Monterey. E. A person operating any type of motor vehicle on park property with a high blood alcohol content, BAC, is subject to enhanced penalties. A high BAC is determined by the two preliminary breath test readings taken 15 minutes apart with readings of 0.18 mg/dl or greater, with obvious signs of intoxication also present. Penalties for operating with a high blood alcohol content may include any or all of the following: immediate suspension of access status from the park, 10 points fine, and 10 points and fines of $500. That was amended on June 1st of 2021. According to the procedures set forth in Article 4, or Section 4, Article 6 of the bylaws, the park president may petition the board of directors for permanent termination of membership or associate membership. Whereas the board of directors for the health, safety, and welfare of Sandy Hines believes it is in the best interest of Sandy Hines to amend and clarify the rules and regulations. Now therefore be it resolved with the board of directors of Sandy Hines Wilderness Trails Incorporated does hereby approve the following amendments and additions to the rules and regulations to Rule Section 6, Conduct Rules, Subsection A, Alcohol/drugs, currently located on page 19 of the Sandy Pines Handbook. Rules Section 6, Conduct Rules, Subsection A, Alcohol/drugs. 1. Alcohol. A. Alcoholic beverages must be confined to the site only. B. Alcohol sales and/or consumption shall be permitted at the North Shore Storm Shelter so long as the following criteria are met. It is related to an event approved by the board. 2. The alcohol is provided and served by a vendor appropriately licensed by the Michigan Liquor Control Commission who possesses appropriate liability insurance and who meets board-approved criteria. 3. Is contained to on-premises use only, and 4. The host pays for extra security and security precautions as deemed appropriate by the park president and/or the public safety office. C, it is the member's responsibility to take action to prevent a minor from having access to alcohol on a member's site or in a member's camping unit. D, operation of any type or mode of transportation under the influence or with an open container of beverage containing alcohol is prohibited. E, beverages containing alcohol are prohibited on Watercraft on Lake Monterey. F, a person operating any type of motor vehicle on park property with a high blood alcohol content, BAC, is subject to enhanced penalty. A high BAC is determined by 2 preliminary breath test readings taken 15 minutes apart with results of 0.18 mg/dl or greater with obvious signs of intoxication also present. Penalties for operating with a high blood alcohol content may include any or all of the following: immediate suspension of access status from part 10 points and fines of $500, amended June 1st, 2021. According to the procedures set forth in Section 4, Article 6 of the bylaws, the park president may petition the board of directors for permanent termination of membership or associate membership. Be it resolved that the board of directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated does hereby approve the above resolution. Kimberly, could you take a roll call? Oh, wait, we have to have a motion. No, I'm not making a motion. I'll entertain a motion to accept this resolution.
Support.
Any questions from the board? Kimberly, can you do a roll call?
Paul Pepper,
Yes.
Stephanie Tanya, Ellen Carpenter,
Yes.
Brian Allen,
Yes.
Jenny Hager,
Yes.
Jim Hawk,
Yes.
Kelly Johnson,
Yes.
Dennis King,
Yes.
Larry Munger.
No.
Approved.
Our next order of business is to approve the safe harbor status that Kinley explained, to take it from 1,000 to 2,500. I'll accept the motion to approve the change of the safe harbor status.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Any questions from the board? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, the next order of business is another reading assignment for me. This is, it's a proposed rule change, and we're going to read it in its entirety, and we'll accept comments and questions via email on this for the next 30 days before we vote on it. And whereas the bylaws of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated, Article 8, Section 6E, gives the board of directors the power to adopt, amend, rescind, and repeal rules and regulations relating to the use of Sandy Pines property and the conduct of its members and their guests. Whereas Rules Section 13, Watercraft Regulations, Subsection B, length permitted. B, length permitted, 1, watercraft may not exceed 20 foot in length with the exception of a pontoon boat that may be 24 feet in length. 2, the length indicated on the state registration form will determine length and classification. Whereas the board of directors for the health, safety, and welfare of Sandy Pines believes it is in the best interest of Sandy Pines to amend and clarify the rules and regulations. Now therefore be it resolved that the board of directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated does hereby approve the following amendment and additions to the rules and regulations relating to the rules Section 13, Watercraft, Subsection B, length permitted, currently located on page 28 of the Sandy Pines Handbook. Rules Section 13, Watercraft Regulations, Subsection B, length permitted. B, length permitted, 1, watercraft may not exceed 20 feet in length with the exception of a pontoon boat that may be 24 feet in length. 2, the length of a watercraft is determined by the distance measured in a straight line from the tip of the bow to the end of the stern. A pontoon's length is measured by the length of the deck or to aft. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trail does hereby approve the above resolution. Well, we're not doing that today. This is for consideration. It just changes, maybe explains the method of measuring a little better, because I know there's been some discrepancies on some registrations. We've had some where the boat has been quite a bit bigger than what state registration has been. So we're going to consider that for 30 days. We'll reread it again in 30 days and accept any comments or questions via email in the meantime. Okay, Jeff, do you want to go through some of the writing questions that were sent in?
Absolutely. Thank you, Ellen. All right, question number one, back to some of the information that Kimberly provided at background of Sandy Pines. We had a writing question of who owns Sandy Pines, who owns Lake Monterey Golf Course, and do we all, as an association of members, own the land together? So Sandy Pines is an incorporated company, basically. So Sandy Pines real estate that encompasses the lake and the recreational area is owned by Sandy Pines Trails, Inc. So the members do not own the land. Sandy Pines, Inc., the corporation, owns the land. Lake Monterey, for the golf course, is an LLC that is a separate entity of Sandy Pines. The members each have a personal property interest in their site and other personal property. So what does that mean? So the members own the trailers, they own the sheds, they own the decks, they own the golf carts. So that is your personal property. The land is not owned by the membership, the land is owned by Sandy Pines, Inc. And then, through the bylaws, the members, through the dues, can use the recreational facilities, and then be in good standing, be able to become board members and then govern the park. So that was a good question. Question number two. See, I noticed in the past, Sandy Pines has added to some beaches in Phase 6. The beach near my lot has experienced quite a bit of erosion after neighbors installed rock in front of their beach. Will Sandy Pines consider adding additional sand in my area as well around the lake? From a lake study committee standpoint, I think what we've, I don't know if you want to make any comments on that stuff, or not.
The Lake Study Committee is looking into how to preserve the shoreline. The biggest obstacle for that is spot. So we would like to look at riprap for around the majority of the lake. What we're going to do in no wake area is kind of up for discussion yet, but there's a big cost associated with it. So we do want to do our best to preserve shoreline and want to prevent erosion in these areas where sand is just washing in and filling the bottom. But still a lot of research and cost analysis to be done on that.
So historically in the past, if Sandy Pines had a project, I don't know, let's say North Shore building, a giant hole that needed to be dug in the ground. If we had any extra sand, historically, the quick fix for some beach was to put that sand around as a quick fix. But to Stephanie's point, as the waves continue to wash that sand goes into the bottom of the lake and it just becomes more of a problem. So we're going to halt putting any additional sand around to try to save beaches as we get better recommendations to shore the shoreline. Okay, good question on that. Would like to know if we could have a 10-person community. I'm assuming this is the community. Would like to know if we could have a 10-person community hot tub built. It would be very helpful for people with achy muscles. I visited a campsite and they had one near their. So I think that was Mike after the softball tournament. During the softball tournament. So we We have kicked off, again, the pool committee, and a couple of the pool committee members and I went and visited like Holland Aquatic Center, and we're looking at other things to try and decide what kind of other aquatic amenities we want to put in here. So we can add that to the pool committee list. Again, it's a rule that you cannot have a hot tub at your individual site. I've had that question written before, for electrical reasons, liability reasons. It's in the handbook, you cannot have them at the individual site. However, if we're going to look at building a new pool or add some aquatic items throughout the park, might not be a bad idea to throw in there. So, good question. Why are appointments needed at public safety office for license plates and other matters? I think this one has popped up before, specifically for license plates. There's an additional thing the public safety office has to do. They'll pull up information off of their computer. They need to make certain that they're talking to the right number. They have to pull a registration sticker to put on your steering column. So that takes some additional time rather than doing a walk-up. And I've sat at public safety working with the team there on busy weekends and sometimes throughout the week. There's times where they do get extremely busy, and we just have to sometimes set up appointments during the week. When I've sat there with them, they can knock those license plates out as quickly as possible with no appointment needed. And I will use this time to put a plug in. There'll be another raid on Monday that we're down to 2 weeks to get your license plates picked up at public safety and get those installed. Labor Day weekend is the deadline, and then starting after Labor Day weekend, public safety will start enforcing that rule. So, okay. Good question. Can Sandy Pines consider putting more pickleball courts in?
Yes.
We will be, I think you heard Kimberly state on the capital budget that there's some list of items out there. We need to identify location, and those are some of the projects that we pull the team together during the off season and say, all right, here's a list. Here's what was just approved by the board. What can we do? What can't we do? How long will it take? And as Jim stated earlier, materials, right? Our supply chain with a lot of materials out there. Some of the materials are not available or have long lead times. So we'll take all that into consideration and try and put a plan together. Question. Is it possible to create some rules for the phase 2 green area to increase safety and make it more pleasant for members? Recommendations such as slow car speed, entering and exiting the park, discourage cars from driving and pick up drop-off kids, encourage golf carts to stay on the path, post hours for the park so cars are not being driven in and out all hours of the night, and pickleball is played at a reasonable time in the morning. Provide a board at the pickleball courts with rules and potential signups by the hour. This worked well at other tennis resorts that we've been at. Some of those are good suggestions. Again, we'll take a look at that during the off season and see what we can implement. Okay, I have one more here. And I think this was a write-in from last month, but I feel the rule pertaining to associates not allowed to bring in guests without the member presents, without the member present needs to be revisited or updated. That question has been brought up a few times, and we can add that to the rules committee list of items to take a look at and see if there's a need to change that rule. And that's all I have for regular questions on.
At this time, we're going to.
Jim, you shut it up.
No,
Okay, we will now accept member comments. If you're going to get up and make a comment, you have to use a microphone so that the people out there in the world and YouTube can hear you. And as I'm stressing, member comments, this is not going to be a question and answer period. Tomorrow, we have a meeting where questions and answers are welcome. At board meetings, we need to stick to writing questions so we have time to adequately prepare responses and do research if necessary, but we always welcome comment. So we have
There's
Microphone.
a microphone and there's a chair right in front of
there's a
that.
microphone right there. You don't have to be that short, you can pick it up. So if you have something to say, you want to head back to that microphone?
I don't think I need a mic.
Yeah, you do. You have to. If I have to, Dave, you have to.
Oh,
Turn it on.
Turn it on.
Push the button.
There's a button at the top, it'll turn green.
my suggestion was that for somebody who was offered that they have hearing aids, that maybe we could coil in this building that we will be able to hear a little bit better. And maybe look into something that will deaden the sound so it don't bounce off the wall so much. Another thing is the question on the hot tub, 10-person hot tub for 2,500 cubic sites. That's less than COVID. So I don't think it's a very good idea. One thing that was bothering me is how many people, we have a budget that keeps going up, and how many people swipe their friends in outside of the main gate. And I talked to safety a little bit about it, and they said, we just don't have time to review all the cameras all the time. My suggestion was, how about having some volunteers review those cameras, a couple hours a day or a couple hours a week or whatever, so that we can eliminate those people that don't want to pay $5 for their friends to come in. I mean, if they're gonna scam the park, and I hate to put it that way, for $5, what else will they scam the park on? So that was just a suggestion.
Thank you, Dave.
When I received in my email, the email about the meeting tonight, there was also a form in there for questions on page 296, and you didn't have my question.
What is it? What was your question?
Well, can I give it to you? You're supposed to ask a question.
And he didn't get it.
Okay, my question was, why are there not generators at the phase 3 FEMA buildings?
We are actually discussed that Monday at the planning meeting, and we will be looking into that. We also feel that the water for those two storm shelters is vital. So we are looking into that, but it was shared by our, okay, thank you.
Okay, we're done.
Too late.
My comments kind of in reference to, we as a whole in membership, we're willing to pay to build a bridge. But when we talk about the lake water, we seem to always want to hit the boat people, the boat stakeholders. Those fees keep coming back to the boat owners. I bought into a membership. I think we are we're all responsible for the water, just like we're all responsible for the bridge. My opinion. Secondly, am I the only person here that notices the electric cord from the food vendor plugged in running 4 freezers in the envelope trailer? Check it out when you leave. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce.
We live on the lake. We're here all summer long. I believe there was a statement at the last board meeting that I was at, that the ballast on boats were not to be used, but they were temporarily suspended. Just today, I don't know too much about ballast boats, but I do know, or I assume, that when people can surf behind the boat, very close to the boat, the ballast is being used. And then I'm wondering, what are we doing to enforce that suspension?
Just a comment about the restroom at the lower level here. I've observed several times people coming up to that and push the handle down. And the handle doesn't open, so they assume they can't get in there. All you have to do is just push the door, but there's no sign there to say push the door. Or, so my comment would be either make that handle so people know that it can be used. I know some people I'm very frustrated by not being able to use that, and they could, but they just didn't go, and they just have to push the door. The other thing is, a safety issue, is once inside, if there's a small child that turns that lock, and then for someone forgets how to get back out, they cannot get back out of that door without redoing the lock. So I think that's something that should be addressed.
We'll have maintenance take a look at that.
What was your first name?
Roger, that's downstairs.
That's Roger Wilson, this is the downstairs.
Outdoor, yeah. The outdoor bathroom.
Yep, thank you.
This is not going to be very taken very well by the membership or the board of directors. I would like to see a resolution by the board of directors to raise the dues next year. I realize it's going to take a vote of the people to raise the dues to $2,000 per site at 70 pounds. That's the board, I think, should make that resolution. I know we have to have a vote on that. My recommendation is to raise the dues to $2,000 per member at 70 pounds. We need the money. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudy.
I agree, it doesn't go over too quick.
You're absolutely right.
Anyone else? Yeah, going on. We don't need to do this now. A rare appearance.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Nielsen, I'm Oak Creek. And I think most of the board members got my email that I sent earlier, so I was glad, Jenny, that you're going to look at it for another month rather than voting on it. We appreciate that. While we're on the subject of dues and trying to cover all the expenses, all the amenities, we have a fabulous park. we talk about a swimming pool, we talk about a hot tub, we talk about this, not just the initial bond, then there's the upkeep. I mean, does anybody have an idea of what our budget here? Is it like $8 million? $9 million? What do we need to run this park? Does anybody know? Anybody have a guess? Jim?
6.7.
$6.7 million.
Operational only expense.
Operational only, not capital. Right. So you throw capital in there, you got another $2 million. So anyway, I haven't really thought this through. I'm a golfer, and I use the golf course a lot, and it's beautiful. And the fees are very, very reasonable. A lot of people use the swimming pool. And is there any thought somehow bans fees to help pay for the lifeguards, just to help the expense? Monterey Golf Course, we pay to play. Very reasonable, not complaining at all. They do a great job. But we have a lot of expense with our swimming pools, and I just feel it's never been addressed that somehow we can maybe help the cost of that activity.
I don't know that it's ever really been discussed, but we certainly can look into it. Thank you for your comment. Yeah, we could raise the dues like Rudy said, we'd be all set.
Steve Strobel, Monterey. Your comments, first, thank you for all your service, appreciate it very much. It does create a beautiful park for all of us. My other comment is I called the member services in April for internet service at my site, and no internet service is over. So I'm not sure what we're trying to do about that to kind of rectify that for next year, or to get that message fixed, but great appreciated. The second comment is, has anyone considered making the contract charter either internet or TV? We don't watch a lot of TV, but we have to consume a lot of internet content these days. And if you're a cord cutter, as they call it, you stream Netflix or whatever else for years and years. So what the TV costs, $180 a year, that'd be a great option for people just to, yeah, we have to charge something, I get that point, but it'd be great to get an option there. And I think that's it, thank you. Oh, one more thing. I was looking online, like everyone's budget stuff, and I couldn't find the proposed budget for the upcoming year. Or maybe I missed it.
Not posted until it's
Not
Okay, how do we provide feedback if it's not posted though?
It's not approved yet.
not approved.
How do we approve?
You can look at, well, when I recommend we look at last year's and make suggestions.
Okay,
It doesn't, the categories don't change that much.
I get that, okay.
So another response to that is we have members walk into my office or Kimberly's office or set up a meeting with Kimberly and myself and make proposed budget recommendations. We're willing to sit down and talk to any member.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
It's totally bad.
In this case, every feedback is not necessarily the best.
How about where you're put?
Anyone else? Well, I want to personally thank all of you for being here tonight, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful weekend.
Need a motion.
Motion at all?
Motion.
Where else are you?
I make a motion and we adjourn.
Thank you. Second.
Support.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Milk cookies.
Motion carries.